Hi, Becca. How are you?
Hi, I'm good.
So, what brings you in today? I know this is our first session, so what's going on?
I'm just really struggling with some alcohol, like some drinking that been doing for like 26 years now, and I really want to start like working on getting some help.
Okay.
And I like to smoke weed sometimes too, but
Okay.
it's not really something I like to do all the time.
All right. So, you said that you've been drinking for about 26 years. So, when did you start? When was your first initial drink?
Sorry, it wasn't 26 years. I'm only 28, so it was like 16 years.
Okay.
Um, what was your question? I'm sorry.
That's okay. My question was, when was your first initial drink?
I was 12 years old. My parents drank some when I was younger. I never really thought it was a problem because I was so young. But then they got a divorce, and I just started drinking the stuff that they would leave around the house.
Okay. So, they didn't know about your drinking? Okay.
No, I was just kind of hiding it.
Okay. And after your first initial drink, did you begin to drink more, or was this something that kind of developed over time?
I was kind of scared at first because I knew that if they caught me, I'd get in trouble.
Mhm.
But it all stayed the same, like the amount that I would drink. But then, like the older I got, when I was like in high school, and then when I started hanging out with my friends at night and stuff, it kind of got to be like a lot more. And then now it's like excessive.
Okay. Well, something I want to look at and work on with you is a genogram. Do you know what a genogram is?
I don't think so. I've heard of something like that, but I
Okay.
don't know.
So it's kind of like a family tree. We're gonna map out your family and kind of look at that and see some risk factors that might be involved and things of that nature. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So let's start with your mom and dad. Okay.
Okay.
What's your mom's name?
Pat.
Okay. And what's your dad's name?
Lee.
Okay. And are they good with, like, are your grandparents still in the picture, or were you close with them?
Yeah, I was. Both my mom's parents are gone, but my dad's dad is still living.
Did you know your mom's
I
parents?
did.
What are their names?
Ruth and Doug.
Did Ruth and Doug stay together? Were they
No,
married?
they divorced after 30 years of marriage.
Okay. All right. And what about your dad's mom and dad?
They were never married. They were kind of just, I hate to say it like that, but it was like a one nighter kind of thing, and it just so happened my dad came out of it.
Okay. Do you know your dad's mom's name?
Dorothy. She's passed away now.
Okay. And what about your dad's dad?
His name is Robert, and he's still living.
Okay. And do you have any brothers and sisters?
Mm-mm.
No, just you?
Just me.
Okay.
I'm the loser of the bunch.
Well, we don't want to say it like that. I don't think that's the case at all. You came for help, and that's a big step in the right direction.
Yeah, it's just really, really hard to kind of admit it and then, try to be the best daughter that you can be, but you have a problem. So it's,
Well, I commend you on coming to counseling,
thank
and we're
you.
going to work through this, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So, you said that your grandparents divorced after 30 years
Mhm.
of marriage. Were you around during that
Mhm.
time? Was it a hard
I
time for
was.
you?
I was young. I was only like 8 or 9 years old. I don't remember a whole lot. I just knew that the older I got, the more stories that came up
Okay.
about the divorce.
Okay, and so you said you started drinking at 12, and you said the older you got, the more stories that came up about the
Mhm.
divorce. Do you think that contributed to your drinking?
I think so because my papa, he actually like cheated on my grandmother after all those years. And he'd been cheating on her the whole time they were together. She just finally got fed up with it, and then all the turmoil and stuff that caused with my family, it kind of boiled over, and then it just made my mom start to drink a little bit more, which made me say, "Huh, well, she's drinking, so I think I'm going to."
Okay. With your mom's parents, did any of them use any substances? No?
No, just my papa, he drank, but
Okay.
he stopped drinking um, in like the 70s, I think.
Okay, so it wasn't ever around you.
No.
Okay. What about your mom? Did she ever drink?
She didn't when I was super young, but then once the divorce happened when I was like 6 or 7, that's when she kind of picked it up, and then as the years went on, that's when I did.
Okay. All right. So what about your dad? I know that you said that you were close with his dad. Was his dad a drinker?
No, he wasn't a drinker, but he was in prison for doing a very terrible thing, and I think that's why my dad just met his dad like 7 years ago, um, and so I think when my dad found out about that, like, and then when his mom passed away years ago, I think that's why he started drinking. My dad did.
All right. So your dad drinks as well.
Just a little. He doesn't drink like all the time. It's just it's like casual, I guess.
Okay. So more like a recreational kind of drink.
Yeah.
Okay. How often would you say that your dad drinks? Like on a weekly basis?
I don't know, maybe like twice, 3 times a week, and it's only like a beer, because he's got really bad anxiety, and so he uses it as a way to kind of, I guess, de-stress.
Okay, and what about your mom? How often would you say she drinks?
She probably drinks about the same as my dad, maybe a couple drinks more a week, like 3 or 4 maybe.
All right.
But that's less than what it used to be.
Okay.
It used to be a lot more than that, but it's gotten less now.
Okay, and what about you? How often do you drink a week?
Oh, Lord. I drink probably, I mean, if I'm being honest, and I want to be honest because I want the help, I start at probably 11 in the morning and drink till 11 at night or until I fall asleep.
Okay, so you don't really have a typical number of drinks, you just drink throughout the day.
I like beer. It's kind of that, and I used to like the liquor, but I really like beer now, and I probably drink maybe like a 12-pack to like an 18-pack a day.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a lot, but to me it's a lot because it really does mess with my day and like my life.
So it messes with your daily functioning. Okay. All right, Becca. What do you do for work?
I am in school right now, and I think that might be a reason why I drink. But and I also work at the hospital, the local hospital.
What do you do at the hospital?
I'm a registration clerk, and I only work like 12-hour shifts, and so like when I have to work, I try not to drink until after I get home that night.
So, would you say that work contributes to your drinking? You said that school does. What about work?
I think so. People at work are really conniving and mean and hurtful, so I think that's really a real big reason why I like to drink.
All right. Okay, Becca. Well, we've done the Strenogram, and something I want to look at is typically substance abuse can be generational. Not always, but in this case, it seems to be that way. Because your parents both drank, and although your papa didn't drink around you, he still was a drinker. And you can see that in your mom's side. It seems like you don't have a lot of information about your dad's side of the family, and that you really only got to know his dad for a little while. And so you probably don't know his use or anything of that nature, but it does look that your mom and dad both drink throughout the week occasionally. And it looks like yours has really increased. And the more we talk about it, the more I see that it's from situations that seem to be stressful for you. So would you say that you use drinking as a coping mechanism?
Absolutely.
Okay. So you use it as a coping mechanism for school, for your job. You also use it as a coping mechanism to deal with your parents' divorce. Do you drink for any other reason? Is there any other things you use to cope with it?
I've dealt with some, I guess, abuse in the past.
Okay.
And I think that might be like when I start to have triggers and like things that remind me of those traumatic events. I think I might drink because of that.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that these traumatic events happened to you. But what we really want to work on while you're in counseling is we want to set some goals for you, and we want to work on some coping skills. And I'm going to start that out as one of your main primary goals because since drinking is your primary coping skill, we want to refrain from that. We want to put in some positive ones. Okay? All right. So what I typically like to do is I like to do one short-term goal, 2 medium goals and 3 long-term goals. If you have more than that number, that's okay for each of them. But let's start out. What is your first short-term goal?
Well, I don't know. I feel like I need to really work on some self-acceptance,
Okay.
really coming to the terms and the fact that I really do have a drinking problem.
Okay. All right. And what's your medium goal look like?
Um,
And we're gonna list 2 medium goals, and that's something
Okay.
that usually takes between 3 to 6 months.
okay, it's kind of hard. I don't know. What are some typical goals that people usually do for medium,
Okay.
medium length goals?
So some medium goals is reducing their amount of drinking. If you're looking at that aspect, that's a medium goal for a lot of clients. That's just something that isn't usually something that happens immediately, and it's something that we want to look at too in terms of safety. A lot of people who drink and then try to detox from that usually face a lot of physical and psychological issues in that manner, so they try to detox kind of slow.
Okay.
So would you like to work on reducing your
Yes,
drinking?
please. I'd really like to work on stopping it altogether. So yeah, I think reducing it.
Okay. And what about another
Another
goal?
one. I really want to work on getting back to what I enjoyed, kind of I guess my relationships with my family and my boyfriend. I really need to work on that because I've kind of pushed them to the side because of all the drinking.
So you want to find pleasure in activities and relationships
Yeah.
that you used to have because it's affected your relationships, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And would you say it's affected them and impacted them stuff in a large manner, or do you feel like it's just kind of happened, but it's not something that's been addressed?
I've never really talked about. I've done the whole treatment thing before, like the detox and the rehabs and all that. But I've never really done this whole kind of setting. And sorry, what was your question? I completely
That's okay. Don't worry about it. What we're going to look at and what I was asking is how do you feel like drinking has affected your relationships in a negative manner? You said it has, but is that a large part of it, or is it just that your family realizes that you're drinking a lot but kind of pushes it under the rug?
It's a pretty big ordeal. Like my family, they don't push it under the rug, and I don't think they're enablers either. I think that they're really just super supportive and they want what's best for me, which right now is to get sober.
Okay, so now we're going to look at some long-term goals, and those spread out over a large quantity of time. Some can take up to a year, and some can take longer.
Okay.
Typically, we look at a long-term goal for about 6 months to a year. So something I heard you mention earlier is that you would really like to stop drinking completely. I know we put as a medium goal to reduce your drinking, but I think as a long-term goal it would look pretty beneficial in the fact that you want to stop drinking completely.
Yes, I would love that.
Okay.
I really have the desire to stop drinking because it's starting to affect me, my mood, and it really makes me sad. So, yeah, I really want to stop drinking.
Okay. And earlier I know you said that school was a really big trigger for you in terms of drinking. With that being said, do you think that your drinking is affecting your schoolwork or your ability to perform academically?
No, I have a 3.9 GPA, so I've been able to balance the grades and, the work and stuff with the drinking. But, I feel like if I don't stop, it's going to really start affecting, my future, especially with, school and, going forward and, because eventually I'd really like to become, a therapist or something, kind of like you, but I've got to be able to stop doing what I'm doing in order to be able to do that.
Okay. Well, thank you for disclosing that to me. Something else I want to talk about is we've really been focusing on your alcohol abuse, but you also said that typically you smoke a little bit of marijuana here and there. What does that look like?
It's not really I wouldn't call it a problem because it's just once or twice a week, but then sometimes it's every night of the week, so I guess it just depends on how easy it is for me to get it and how expensive it is and if anybody's willing to do it with me because I don't like to do it by myself. So, yeah.
Would you say your marijuana use contributes to the same triggers as your alcohol use? So would you say it also like has to do with school stress and occupational stress, or is there other reasons in which you smoke?
I think you're right, and also I don't ever like smoke and drink at the same time. It's kind of like if I can't get one, I'm just gonna go try do the other. If that makes sense. Like if I can't get to a liquor store, then I'm just gonna go to the nearest like house and get some weed or whatever. And I'm afraid that if I don't stop, it's just gonna lead to harder and heavier stuff like like meth and heroin and stuff. And I definitely don't want to do that because I feel like I have too much potential to do that.
Okay. So looking at that, that could be another long-term goal, and we can look at, either reducing that or also completely stopping. And what would you want to put on your long-term goal?
I feel like I want to reduce it for now because I mean, with the way that laws are changing, like eventually, hopefully, it'll become legal. But then again, like I would feel really guilty if I didn't stop. So it's like, I'm not really sure what to do.
So typically when we make goals, we like to make what we call SMART goals. So that looks at things such as, is it measurable, is it attainable, is it reasonable, things of that nature, and is it like effective in terms of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know and get a little bit more specific. So when reducing marijuana, you said your times vary like weekly, but overall, what would you like to minimize it to? Once or twice a week, or
like once every 2 weeks or something like that, like very spaced out.
Okay. All right, and we want to look at making one more long-term goal. Can you think of anything you're looking at? I think that one that I would suggest, and this is up to you because this is your goal plan and this is going to go on your treatment plan. So we talked about working on coping skills, and that's something that we can start now. The thing is, we want to make sure that we can use those coping skills consistently. And if one we put in place isn't working, then we want to continue using those coping skills until they do work. So would you like to put that as a long-term goal, or would you like to put something else?
I think that's a good idea. I think because no matter like even when I do become sober, I don't want to relapse, and so like I think that if I have like safe coping skills in place, I'll be able to like keep myself from going and drinking again.
Okay. So like I said, we want to make this more specific. So in terms of coping skills, is there a certain amount of coping skills you would like to develop?
I'd really like to develop like 2 or 3 super easy ones that like, if I'm feeling maybe like a craving come on or something, like I can work myself off of it, and then like maybe 2 or 3 big ones that would possibly take like a lot more energy basically.
Okay. And something else I want to talk about and we address is that you said that you've done the detox, you've done the rehabs. There is some indicators that you are still using. I mean, you've also relayed that information to me. So what I really want to look at in terms of that is, do you feel that you can detox safely off of alcohol and off of marijuana, or do you feel that you would need some inpatient treatment?
I've never had like a seizure or anything. I've never blacked out when I was withdrawing or when I was detoxing. But like just with like the way I worry and how anxious I get, like I feel like I would do better like detoxing in a facility where like they could check on me and like, make sure that nothing goes terribly wrong.
So there's 2 things we can look at. We can look at a short-term detox center where you're going to go for typically 3 to 7 days, okay? Actually, there's 3 different things we can look at. That one is the first one. The second thing we can look at is more of a long-term treatment facility that looks more like a rehab for about 30 days. The third we can look at, and something that I think you might find really interesting, is partial inpatient services. And what that looks like is you would go, so every morning you would report to a certain center. We're in Paris, Kentucky right now, so the closest center would be Stoner Creek. And you would go for like 9 to 2 every day. And then you would leave and then you would come back. So you're partially in treatment for a good portion of the day, but you get to go home at night. And the reason I feel that that might be a more beneficial aspect for you is because you are in school and you also have a job.
Right.
However, you need to make the decision for yourself and what you feel is going to be best for your treatment overall.
Yeah, I don't think, like, right now, like, with given the situation in, like, school and, you know, just life in general, and with it being near the holidays and stuff, I think that, like, the outpatient would be better for me than, like, inpatient right now, especially because, like, when you're an inpatient, you can't really submit homework, and you can't really, like, see your family a whole lot on, like, Christmas and all that. So I think I would probably benefit more from, like, that, and then maybe doing, like, some sober living or something after.
So for outpatient, are you looking to continue these sessions just like this, where we meet twice a week for an hour apiece, or are you looking more for the partial outpatient?
I think I would like both. Is that possible? Is that something
That's
that,
just
like,
something that
insurance
we can.
covers?
Well, that's something we can definitely discuss and look at and evaluate your insurance and what it's going to
Okay.
cover for you. That's something that we can look at towards the end of the session. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Something else I want to talk to you about is your thoughts, your feelings, and your behavior. It's a cycle for all three, as you can see right here. So you start with your thoughts that create a behavior, and then your behaviors create a feeling, and then your feelings create thoughts. So you continue this cycle. So what I want to do is make this with you for a couple of things. So what's a thought that you have? Maybe a possible trigger or something of that nature.
Something that triggers me. That would be like, I don't know. Usually this is like super easy for me to come up with.
Well, let me give you a couple examples and maybe that'll lead you in the right direction. Okay? So something we can look at as thoughts is I didn't study for this test, even though I feel like I know the material. I just know I'm gonna fail. That could be a thought. Okay. So from that example, can you think of any of your own? You can also look at your occupational setting.
I don't know. I constantly feel like I'm not doing anything right. So I guess maybe like, with like work, I didn't register this patient right. So when they go to chart on him, they're gonna chart on the wrong patient.
Okay. And so when you have those negative thoughts, what kind of behavior does that produce?
It makes me really stressed and kind of it makes me defensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I look at defensive and I look at stress, that's more of a feeling aspect.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. In terms of behavior, we want to look at what happens. So, do you get angry with yourself? Do you storm off? Do you use drinking to cope?
Oh, I would love to go out to the car and have some drinks and come back to work, but I know that I can't do that. So, like, I think I just get really angry with myself, and then I kind of, like, want to cry because that's the only thing I know how to, like, deal when I get angry is just to cry.
Okay, so your thoughts are, you mess up this patient and you're worried because, like, you don't want to get the backlash from other staff members about what might happen.
Right.
And so then that encourages your behavior where you storm off and you take a minute to yourself and typically you end up crying. And overall that makes you feel sad and depressed and maybe even anxious. And you can tell me if I'm hitting the right points.
You are, yeah.
Maybe a little anxious because you're, nervous to deal with that situation and how it like came about and the backlash. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what it looks like with this chart of thoughts, behaviors, and feelings. So something I'm going to ask you to do over the next week is I want you to make a thought journal. So what that really looks like, and it's going to be a behavior journal and a feeling. So we'll just do all three. So what will happen is when a behavior occurs or a feeling occurs, such as stress, you're going to write down, I was stressed, and then write down why you were stressed, what happened, and that can look at your thoughts, and also look at, what you felt because you were stressed, what that made you feel like, what that looked like, and then you're going to write down what behavior you completed after feeling stressed. So whether that's looking at a coping skill, or if you, used alcohol or you smoked marijuana, we're going to look at all those aspects, okay?
Okay.
Something else I want to address with you that we haven't really gotten to talk about recently is that within this program you will be asked to submit to random drug screens.
Okay.
Do you feel comfortable doing that?
I mean, yeah, because I don't really do drugs. I just drink and I smoke marijuana, but like Yeah.
And the reason we're going to do these drug screens is it's going to provide us with a measurement to start out with on where you're at. And as those decrease, we'll be able to see that. So it's a good way to monitor your progress and to look at where and what that looks like. We'll typically probably do about 2 random screens a week, and we'll do 1 screen that you know about. So every Wednesday we'll ask you to attend New Hope, and you'll have that screen done throughout that day. And then throughout the week I'll call you a couple more times for some randoms. Okay?
Yeah, when you asked, I was like, oh my gosh, like, am I going to get kicked out of the program because I've drank? Okay. Like, that's what I was worried about when you were asking. I was like, But yeah, now that you explained it, I completely understand. And yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay, well, since you brought that up, let's talk about that. I'm glad that you addressed that with me. With this relationship and counseling, we need to be transparent with one another and be able to talk about our feelings and emotions and our thought processes. So if you ever feel that you have an issue, please address that with me. And I'm glad that you did address that.
Okay.
Do you feel more comfortable with it, or would you like me to give a better explanation?
No, I completely understand. Yeah, I really appreciate you doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, with that being said, we're about to wrap up the end of this session. I'm going to take you up to the front and we're going to have you talk to insurance a little bit about what that looks like. And after they kind of divulge that information to you, we can look more at what your treatment options are.
Okay.
Clearly, your insurance covers this outpatient treatment where we meet twice a weekly for an hour. But we're going to look at what that looks like for partial outpatient treatment, okay?
Okay.
So, do you want to meet at the same times next week, or do you have a set schedule that you would like to look at?
I kind of like this, like, in the afternoon, right before, like, bedtime, because this, like, talking to you does calm me down and, like, chill me out, and it makes me not want to go drink.
Okay.
So I feel like that would be best, just, like, the nighttime thing.
Do you want to look at Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 7?
Yeah, I think that'll be okay.
Okay. That'll work with your job and school?
Yeah, I work on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Okay,
so
perfect. So we'll set up some appointments for Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're going to look at that, and I'm going to draw up your treatment plan.
Okay.
And next week we're going to kind of dive into your treatment plan and what that looks like. And then also we're going to review the homework assignment I gave you, which is to, work on our thoughts, feelings, and behavior journal.
Okay.
Feel free to contact the office, and if you need to cancel an appointment or anything, just give me a heads up in about a 24-hour notice, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thanks. I appreciate you meeting with me today.
Absolutely no problem. If you need anything, let me know, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.